السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, today is our weekly class, Kitab, التوحيد. And we are continuing the chapter number 2. ولهما في حديث عتبان. Chapter number 2 is talking about the virtues of the Tawheed, the merits of Tawheed, the superiority of Tawheed, importance of the Tawheed. ولهما في حديث عتبان فإن الله حرم على النار من قال لا إله إلا الله يبتغي بذلك وجه الله. So the author rahimahullah is here quoting hadith of Utban radiallahu anhu, which is reported in Bukhari and Muslim. فإن الله حرم على النار من قال لا إله إلا الله يبتغي بذلك وجه الله. So Utban, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, Allah has forbidden for the hell the person who testifies there is nothing worthy of worship in truth but Allah, seeking thereby nothing but Allah's face. Now, this beautiful hadith talks about the importance of this kalima, the word of Tawheed, which will make the hellfire, Allah will prohibit the hellfire from receiving you. You will not be thrown into hell because of the Tawheed. فإن الله حرم على النار. Allah made it haram, okay, prohibited from the hellfire, okay, to have among its inhabitants the ones who fulfill the Tawheed and actualize the Tawheed in their life. من قال لا إله إلا الله. Whoever says لا إله إلا الله. But here there is a condition, because unfortunately many Muslims They don't the exact meaning of La ilaha illallah, that this La ilaha illallah has to govern all his activities, all his actions. So La ilaha illallah is not just lip service or a word you say. And it has conditions. And we mentioned the 7 conditions. So whenever you come across a hadith like this, whoever says La ilaha illallah dakhal al-jannah, etc., you have to keep in mind La ilaha illallah with all its conditions fulfilled. So here there's a condition. من قال لا إله إلا الله يبتغي بذلك وجه الله. So when he says or she says La ilaha illallah, he seeks by that, he or she seeks by that Allah's face, Allah's pleasure. Of course, this hadith approves of the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah has a face, and no doubt. And that's the best thing, the greatest pleasure in the Jannah when people look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I want you, my dear brothers and sisters, when you come across the attributes of Allah, switch off your imagination and tell your gray matter, your little mind, know your limit and limitations. You cannot comprehend Allah in your mind, cannot imagine Allah. So when you read the attributes of Allah, you have to understand them in the manner that suits Allah Azza wa Jal and suits His majesty and glory. What is common here is only the name. Wajh, face. Allah has face, you have face. But is Allah's face like yours? No, definitely. Really, what is common is the name. Because this is the limitation of languages. Okay? And human beings, when they are dealing with each other and they are using words, these words are linked and related to objects they know. Objects they know. For example, we know the word Asad, lion. Lion, you know the meaning of lion. Okay. So if I tell you today and Friday sermon, in the khutbah Friday, oh my God, there was a real marvelous lion on the pulpit, shaking the masjid. His voice is echoing and shaking the masjid. His words were so powerful that brought tears and made our eyes to well up with tears. So when you heard me saying this time there was a lion on the pulpit, you realize I'm not talking literally, I'm talking metaphorically. Why? Because you know the meaning of lion. You know the meaning of it. So it is impossible that there is an animal, lion, on the pulpit addressing the congregation. You know that. So immediately you conclude that I'm talking metaphorically because you know the meaning of lion. Among us human beings, when we talk, the meaning of it. And you know the image of the lion. So that's why you immediately rendered and interpreted my statement metaphorically, not literally, because you know the meaning of the word lion. And it is impossible that this animal is on the top of the pulpit addressing the audience, the devotees. So when you render a text metaphorically, because the meaning is known to you and you know the reality, you know the reality of the word lion. That's why you rendered the statement of the text metaphorically, because you know the reality of the lion. But when it comes to Allah, who is unseen and ghaib, so definitely the reality of his name, the reality of his attribute is unknown to us, the reality. What we know only this word, which is common. So, of the reality, we don't know. It was okay to translate my statement lying on the pulpit. Metaphorically, that's fine. Why? Because we know what is the word lion in our life. So immediately, no one will argue with you that the one on the pulpit was not the lion, the animal, but a man who is so brave like the lion. That is clear. But now you have no right. When you read the attributes of Allah, because the reality of the attribute is not known to you, then you have no right to render it, interpret it metaphorically. You have no right. So you have to say, my Lord says he is like this, I accept that. He told me this is his attribute, I accept it. Without giving it any resemblance or likening it to any human attribute. But why? Because Allah said, ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. There is nothing like unto him. Nothing like unto him. And he is all hearer, all seer. Though he negated any resemblance or likeness to any of his creation, he affirmed and approved of two qualities, attributes. He sees and he hears. So he sees, he hears, yes. How? We don't know. His seeing, his sight, his hearing definitely not like ours. So we should not say he doesn't see or he doesn't hear, because we see and we hear. So his attributes cannot be like ours. That is true, but we cannot deny what he affirmed and attributed to himself, seeing and hearing. So Allah's seeing, sight, and Allah's hearing suits him. Glory be to him. And this will protect you and prevent your mind from wandering and imagining. You'll tell your mind, know your limitation. This is your creator. And you are limited. You cannot imagine someone behind the wall. How do you want to imagine Allah? So behave yourself and know your limitation, little mind. The problem with those who denies and negates the attributes of Allah, Mu'tazila, Asha'ira, and the rest, Jahmiyyah, because when they come across any of the names or attributes of Allah, immediately they start imagining and likening Allah to the human attributes. That is the real problem. So what to do? Now they are confused. They have these images popping up in their mind, imagining, attributing human attributes to Allah. What to do? They know this is wrong. So they have this inner struggle and they are confused. In that case, what they said, okay, we have to reject this and we have to render and interpret the attribute metaphorically, figuratively. So Allah doesn't have face, Allah doesn't have hand, etc. Because to them, when they say, oh, يَدُ اللَّهِ فَوْقَ أَيْدِيهِمْ, Allah's hand is above their hand. So immediately they imagine the human hand. Okay? They don't know that this is Allah. So if he's saying he has hand, definitely not like yours. And you cannot imagine it. But they have this problem. Their minds are poisoned with this disease of imagining Allah's attributes. That's why, indeed, they are anthropomorphists. Because they are, in their minds, they have these human images about the attributes of Allah. So in order to get rid of that, they say, no, no, no. Allah doesn't have hand. Hand here means power. So that they feel, okay, now I can get rid of this confusion. Why they had that confusion? Because they imagined. They didn't tell the mind, know your limitation. This is Allah, and nothing is like unto him. What's wrong with you? You want to imagine. But because now they fell into that disease, into that maya of imagination, they are now, their minds are so corrupt, they decided to reject and misinterpret the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they are saying any attribute that is common between the human being and Allah mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah, we have to render it, interpret it metaphorically. Because the same attributes cannot be shared, and that's wrong. They are shared linguistically, but not in reality. Subhanallah. For example, take the word hand, yad. I say, my hand, the hand of the door, the hand of the bag, okay? The hand of the cat. Hand, hand, hand. The same word. Are the realities the same? Is the reality of my hand like the reality of the hand of the bag, the hand of the door? No. Though the word is the same, realities are different. So why, when it comes to Allah, you think his attributes like yours? And you start to imagine. That's why Imam Shafi'i said, those who are saying any word that is common, attributed to Allah and the human being, we have to understand it in the metaphoric sense and negate it. Then he said, ask them, Allah exists and you exist. Allah exists and you exist. According to your rule, you are applying it across the board. You have to say Allah does not exist because I exist, and your argument, any attribute common should be negated. So say Allah does not exist, and this will make you kafir immediately. And if you say, no, 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 Allah's existence, not like my existence, say, Barakallah feek, Jazakallah khair, this is correct. And now say, apply this for all the attributes of Allah. Allah's sight, not like yours. Allah's hearing, not like yours. Allah's knowledge, not like yours. All the divine actions of Allah, not like ours. Because Allah, nothing like unto him, so the same. His attributes are not like ours. Keep this in mind, my dear brothers and sisters. If you want to succeed, if you want to have salvation, if you want to enter the Jannah, if you want to meet Allah and find him pleased with you, when it comes to the attributes of Allah, understand them in the light of the ayah, ليس كمثله شيء هو السميع البصير. Nothing is like unto Allah, and he is all hearer, all seer. He sees, he hears in the manner that suits his majesty and glory. Okay? So this beautiful hadith, من قال لا إله إلا الله يبتغي بذلك وجه الله. So it mentions Allah's face. And what does it mean? You seek Allah's face. It means you seek his reward. But you should not deny that Allah has a face. Because he knows himself better than anyone. And don't imagine Because what is imagination? Imagination, you have something, this image is stored in your mind, in your memory, and you want to know something else which is not known to you. So you liken this X object to what is known to you. And you say, it is like that, it is like that, like that. Like what? Like what I have in mind. Do you have an image of Allah in your mind? No. So you cannot imagine. Forget about it. Know your limitation. You cannot imagine Allah. We cannot imagine the Jannah. Can we imagine right now the palaces in the Jannah? Close your eyes and imagine. What are the images you have? The palaces you have seen or you had seen. And you think the palaces in the Jannah like the palaces you had seen. Because you are limited. You cannot imagine something beyond that. Something you did not see, you cannot imagine. Cannot. If someone is born blind, oh, blind, and he's a genius, can he imagine the colors? Impossible. There's no reference, there's no image stored. No matter how you try to explain to him the colors, he cannot imagine the colors. You tell him, you know, the white color, like the milk. He never saw the milk. He tasted the milk. So he cannot imagine the milk, the white color, whiteness. So let us come down to earth and follow the divine guidance and follow the way and the footsteps of our Prophet Muhammad and his Sahaba and the three generations, the way of the Salaf, if you want salvation. Anyone who deviates from the way of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions will be destined to hell. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. And that's what Allah said in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 115. ومن يشاقق الرسول من بعد ما تبين له الهدى ويتبع غير سبيل المؤمنين نوله ما تولى ونصله جهنم وساءت مصيرا. ومن يشاقق الرسول, whoever contends, opposes the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he resists, he puts forward his own understanding. He gives his understanding more importance than the understanding of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ, whoever contends and opposes and resists the Messenger ﷺ, وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and he follows a path other than the path of the mu'mineen, the believers. Of course, in this ayah, the believers are the Sahaba, no doubt. ويتبع غير سبيل المؤمنين نوله ما تولى. Allah is saying, We shall leave him in the way he chose, the way he had chosen. نوليه ما تولى ونصله جهنم وساءت مصيرا, and will make him taste Jahannam. وساءت مصيرا, what an evil destination, what an evil abode. ونصله جهنم, he will be roasted in the hellfire. If you choose to follow a way other than the way of Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, or the Sahaba, the way of the Tabi'een, the way of Tabi'een, the way of the four Imams, you say, no, I'm not following them. I am following Wasir ibn Atta, I am following Bishr al-Marisi, or deviant sects. They are my role models. Not the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Then you should prepare yourself to occupy your seat in the hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ also said, when he mentioned that the nations were divided and the were divided and went astray, he mentions his ummah. He said, my ummah will be divided into 73 sects. 72 to hell, one to heaven, the paradigm. He was asked about this sect, this group that will be delivered. He said, من كان على مثل ما أنا عليه وأصحابي. Very simple. Whoever, forget about the labels, throw the labels away. Whoever follows what I am upon today and what you are upon today. So if you follow what the Sahaba were upon, you will have salvation. And that is the meaning of as-salaf. That is the meaning of da'wah salafiyah. That is the meaning of following the salaf. Salafiyah is not a movement like the movement No. Salafiyah, in a nutshell, is the pure Islam. That's it. The pure Islam. The Islam that the Prophet ﷺ taught to his companions. The Islam of the three generations. That Islam is the meaning of Salafiyah and following the Salaf. Salaf are the Sahaba. And whoever follows their footsteps. So Salafiyah is not founded by Ibn Taymiyyah or Ahmad ibn Hanbal or Bukhari and Muslim. Anyone who talks like that, he has compound ignorance. And he doesn't know what is coming out of his head. Okay? So, my dear brothers and sisters, the way is so clear. Just follow. Follow the footsteps of your prophet. Walk behind him. Walk behind the Sahaba. Understand your Islam the same way the three generations understood it. And don't fool yourself. I can understand Islam more than the Sahaba, better than the Sahaba. Then Satan is pulling your legs. May Allah guide all the Muslims. Amen. So this beautiful hadith, my dear brothers and sisters, talks about the beauty of the Tauhid. May Allah make us die on the Tauhid. May Allah make the last word we utter the words of Tawheed. La ilaha illallah. فإن الله حرم على النار من قال حرم على النار. Oh hell, you will not burn the skin of my servant. His skin is prohibited for you to burn. You will never have him in you among your inmates. إن الله حرم على النار من قال whoever says this لا إله إلا الله لا إله. With the conditions, 7 conditions. So you know the meaning of it, you know the significance of the negation and the affirmation, and you only worship Allah. You don't associate any partner with Allah, and you don't commit shirk. يبتغي بذلك وجه الله. He's seeking by that Allah's face. So we believe that Allah's face, and also the meaning means that we seek Allah's reward, Allah's pleasure. وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال قال موسى يا رب علمني شيئا أذكرك وأدعوك به. قال يا موسى قل لا إله إلا الله. قال يا رب كل عبادك يقولون هذا. قال يا موسى لو أن السماوات السبع وعامرهن غيري والأرضين السبع في كفة ولا إله إلا الله في كفة مالت بهن لا إله إلا الله. رواه ابن حبان والحاكم وصححه. The meaning of the hadith. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri رضي الله عنه narrated that Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, Moses alayhi salam may Allah have peace and blessing of Allah upon him, said, "O my Rabb, O my Lord, teach me something through which I can remember you and supplicate to you." Allah answered, "Say, O Musa, La ilaha illallah." Musa said, "O my Rabb, all your slaves say these words." Allah said, "O Musa, if the seven heavens and their Ummar, the angels, than me, Ghairi, and the seven earths as well, were all put in one side of a scale, and La ilaha illallah put in the other side of the scale, the latter, which is La ilaha illallah, would overweigh them. This hadith has been reported by Ibn Hibban in his Sahih and Al-Hakim in his Mustadrak, and Al-Hakim graded it Sahih. Now, before we elaborate on this hadith, I saw a clip by, let's say, students of knowledge, and he is attacking Kitab al-Tauhid. And he said, Kitab al-Tauhid contains weak ahadith, weak hadith, weak narrations. So this is one of the problems. Second thing, he said that the author, Muhammad Abdil-Wahhaab, rahimahullah, used the ayat, he applies the ayat, the verses that came down regarding the mushriks, and he applies them to the Muslims. So he's saying the ayah came down regarding the mushriks of Quraysh, the Arabs, and he applies them to the Muslims. The third thing, the issues that he deduced from the ahadith and the ayat, his deduction, okay, that deduction, that understanding is not correct. That's what he said. Let us address these 3 points. Regarding that, the author mentioned some ahadith that they are weak. First of all, he is not a specialist in hadith, rahimahullah. That's number one. Number two, that there are scholars of hadith, like this hadith we have now, consider this narration or this hadith Hasan or Sahih. Then you have no right to blame him. Okay? You have no right. Because he is quoting what a specialist said about this narration. And you find this in many of the books of the ulama and many of the books of the fuqaha. But you cannot expect a scholar to be polymath, to know everything. So this scholar, mentioned in his book a hadith. A specialist scholar of hadith said it is okay, authentic, hasan, acceptable. Then, and he mentions to you the reference. He's telling you, go and check. And the person who mentions the reference cannot be blamed. See, even the scholars of hadith, if you read in their books, he will mention the hadith and he will say this is weak hadith. Weak hadith. So if it is weak hadith, why did you mention it? Find this in Sunan Abu Dawood, for example. He will mention to you the hadith and say it is weak. Not only that, and he will tell you, and you will never find any narration referring to this particular mas'ala issue except this narration, and it is weak. So why did he put it? Why did he mention it? He mentioned that hadith, first of all, to spare your time. And he's telling you this hadith, this mas'ala, this particular issue, fiqhi issue, there is no narration from the Prophet ﷺ regarding it except this one. I exhausted all my efforts and the search. And this narration is weak. So he saves you and spares you spares your time by just telling you I did my homework. So this is for you. Second thing, in case you come across another narration with another isnad addressing this particular mas'ala, then this will increase the probability or the likelihood that this narration most probably said by the Prophet ﷺ. Because what is, for example, hadith, which is we call Hasan, and especially Hasan لغيره, we have weak isnad, weak narration, another weak narration, but the meaning is the same, but the isnad is different, and the weakness in this narration is not that significant, not that severe, and the same thing here. So the two narrations, they strengthen one another, and the hadith will be promoted and strengthened and go one step up from being weak to become hasan. So that's why the muhaddith, he mentioned this narration, so that in case you come across another narration, then this narration can be augmented and strengthened. Okay? So you cannot attack Shaykh Muhammad Abdil-Wahhaab because some narrations are weak. Regarding that, he uses the ayat came down regarding the mushriks and applied them to the Muslims. First of all, we ask them, who's the mushrik? Now, I say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. I became Muslim. Then, after I said that, I started doing shirk, asking than Allah, other than Allah, offering sacrifices to other than Allah, relying on other than Allah. So I start to do things those whom Allah called them mushriks, they used to do. I'm doing them. I'm doing them. So what is the difference here? If I'm doing the same things that they were doing, definitely I'm like them. I'm doing shirk. The problem with those guys, they don't know the meaning of shirk. They think the shirk is only if I believe this stone benefits me by its own and can give me benefit, it has that power, that is shirk. But if I consider this stone, this tomb, or this saint as a means, as an intermediary between me and Allah, that is fine. Okay. If that is the definition of shirk according to your understanding, then those whom the Prophet ﷺ were sent to them, they were not mushriks. Because they were saying, Lata, Uzza, Mana, Hubal, they were only intermediaries. We know. The one who's in heaven, we know Allah, everything is in him. ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض يقولون الله. When they embark the ship and they are in the middle of the ocean and the sea is rough, دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين. They call upon Allah sincerely from the bottom of their hearts. So when they are in trouble, they turn to Allah. Only when they land on the shore, they go back to their old habits. Today, many of those who call themselves Muslims, when they are in the middle of the ocean and the ship is about to sink, oh, Abdul Qadir Jilani, save us. See, the shirk. When they are in trouble, instead of saying, oh, Allah, save us, no, Abdul Qadir Jilani. And then you don't call this shirk? No. Wake up. Learn your Tauhid. Did Allah mention the ayat in the Quran about the mushriks for entertainment or for warning us not to follow their footsteps? The Quran is Tawheed from the beginning to the end. So Allah is warning us when He mentioned the stories of the perished nations and the kuffar. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was breathing his last, he heard one of his wives who had been to Al-Habasha, Abyssinia. She mentioned a church or monastery that had images. Prophet ﷺ said, لعن الله اليهود والنصارى اتخذوا قبور أنبيائهم وصالحيهم مساجد. May Allah curse the Jews and the Christians. They have taken the graves of their prophets and holy men as places for worship. Why did he say that? Just to give us that piece? piece of information or warn us, definitely to warn us, that we should not follow the way where the Jews and the Christians went wrong. And that is exactly what is happening today among the Muslims, the Islamic world. Tombs are scattered all over, mausoleums all over, worshipping saints all over. And then you call this not shirk? So, when you do the same thing that the mushriks were doing, you will have the same ruling, the same hukum. Of course, after explaining to you, educating you, telling you this, what you are doing is shirk. Allah prohibited it. We remove all your misconceptions and erroneous beliefs. And after that, if you insist, no doubt, you are a mushrik. But if you are ignorant, no one told you, brainwashed, misled, that's another issue. We're not talking about the individuals. We are talking about the hukm al-am, the general ruling. And the last point he mentioned, that Sheikh Muhammad deduced rulings from the ayat. Of course. The Quran is there for guidance. And it is guidance for all of us. So when he mentioned the ayah or the hadith, he tells you what can be benefited from this narration, whether the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet, from the Quranic verses or the ahadith of the Prophet. So you can see the arguments are so weak. They are so weak. And they are just mimicking and emulating what their mashayikh told them. Now, coming to this hadith, which is reported by Ibn Hibban and al-Hakim, and al-Hakim said it is sahih, authentic. First of all, I hope, my dear brothers and sisters, you are taking notes. I hope. Al-Hakim, rahimahullah, who wrote his book Al-Mustadrak. What does it mean? He compiled his book Al-Mustadrak to tell us that these ahadith he compiled, they should have been mentioned by Bukhari and Muslim. But subhanallah, what he compiled, what he did, rahimahullah, first of all, he compiled the narrations, and after compiling the narrations, he started checking and scrutinizing them and critiquing them. And he died before completing his Mustadrak. So the portion that he checked, many of the hadith there are authentic. But the rest, there are weaker hadith and very weaker hadith, because he didn't check. Also, the ulama, they said, Al-Hakim is so lenient and tolerant regarding the narrators. It's not that strict. The same thing they said about Ibn Hibban, rahimahullah. So this hadith we have, indeed, according to the science of hadith, is weak hadith, because it's not meeting the criteria. Because for the hadith to be authentic, the isnad has to be continuous. This narrator heard from this narrator, so there's no missing narrator, or there's no gap. All the narrators are reliable, no weak narrator. The isnad is free from any shudud, which is oddity. Okay, should not be odd narration. And fourthly, it has no known defect, illah. So if the hadith fulfilled this criterion, then the ulama, they say, this isnad is authentic. Now, this hadith we have, first of all, this hadith talks about the importance of the dhikr, la ilaha illallah. And this meaning is mentioned in so many hadith that la ilaha illallah is the best dhikr. So it's not an issue. So here, Musa alayhi salam, in this narration, he wants a special dua for himself. Special dua. Special supplication. So he asked Allah, because he talks to Allah. He is Kalimullah. So Allah told him, say, La ilaha illallah. The Prophet ﷺ said, أفضل الذكر لا إله إلا الله. So Musa alayhi salam, he said, all your servants, they say this dua, la ilaha illallah. I want something for me. So this narration tells us, okay, that Allah told him, if the seven heavens and the angels are put in one side of the scale, and the seven heavens and the seven earths on the other, so the seven heavens and the seven earths in one on one pan of the scale, and La ilaha illallah on the other, La ilaha illallah will outweigh them. And you know the famous hadith, and it's going to come in Kitab Tauhid, the one who had 99 files, records, full of sins. These records were put in one side, and the small card, which has the word of Kalimat al-Tawheed on the other, and Kalimat al-Tawheed outweighed. So the meaning is acceptable. No argument about it. There are so many narrations carry the same meaning. Okay. So the ulama and the scholars of hadith, they don't go by just the meaning. Scholars of hadith, they check they have their own criteria. So they say this hadith is weak because it didn't meet the criteria. The other meaning is mentioned in another authentic hadith. For example, in Tirmidhi, the Prophet ﷺ said, الدعاء مخ العبادة. الدعاء مخ العبادة. Another narration, الدعاء هو العبادة. Meaning is the same. meaning is the same. الدعاء مخ العبادة. دعاء is the essence of ibadah, the heart, the core of the ibadah. But this narration is weak because in the isnad there's a problem. Though the meaning is the same. The other narration is authentic because it met the condition. الدعاء هو العبادة. Dua itself is the ibadah. It is the ibadah itself. That's why when you mention hadith, which is weak, though the meaning is acceptable, the meaning is acceptable, mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, but you have to say, and it is weak. You have to say that when you mention it. Okay. So this isnad, there is a problem with it. Though Ibn Hibban reported it, Al-Hakim in his Sahih, and the author, rahimahullah, mentioned, a specialist said it is Sahih. But the reality that it is weak hadith, reported by Nasa'i, Abu Ya'la, Hibban, Tabarani, Bayhaqi, في الأسماء والصفات, from the narrator Abu Sam' عن أبي الهيثم عن أبي سعيد الخدري. This is the isnad. Large عن أبي الهيثم عن أبي سعيد. Jalaj, the narration of Jalaj from Abu al-Haytham from Abu Sa'id is weak. Is weak narration. This particular is not. And the experts who graded and considered this narration weak, Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Dawood, as mentioned في التهذيب, the book of Tahdib. This is one of the books of Rijal, the narrators. Now, this hadith, there's something mentioned here. لو أن السماوات السبع وعامرهن غيري. عامرهن here, the seven heavens. What is عامرهن? The عامر are those who are, okay, celebrating and praising Allah. That's how the heavens are alive. Okay. If you have city that is vibrant, we call it عامرة. المدينة عامرة, vibrant. There are people there. There's life. But if it is void and empty, ruins. Okay. So السماوات السبع, the seven heavens, are fully packed by the angels. You cannot find a place of one span or four fingers except there is an angel prostrating or standing. So much so that the heavens, the samawat, the seven firmaments are cracking, making noise because of the weight, the heaviness. And they are all engaged in praising and celebrating Allah. So they are so busy, the angels, in worshiping Allah. And Allah is worshipped in heavens and on earth. Though he is outside his creation. Allah, Ar-Rahman, ala al-Arsh istawa. Allah is outside his creation. is not in one of the seven heavens. And explained this to you many times when we talked about Ar-Rahman ala al-Arsh istawa. And when we say Allah fi sama, it means the absolute highness, not in one of the seven firmaments. So you should not misunderstand this narration and think that Allah, okay, is also one of, he is within the seven firmaments. No, Allah is outside his creation and he doesn't indwell in any of his creation. Ar-Rahman ala al-Arsh istawa. Because Allah, he is the first and the last. And Allah created the creation outside himself. Because creation. Is the creation inside Allah? No. Is the creator inside the creation? No. Is the creator outside? Yes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the pure Tauhid and make us among those who actualize Tauhid and die upon the Tauhid and fill our hearts with the Tauhid and make us die with the Tauhid. Ameen ya Rab. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us remain steadfast on this beautiful deen until we meet him and find him pleased with all of us. Ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us our faults, mistakes, and ignorance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the beneficial knowledge, our just deeds. May Allah unite our ummah on the haqq. May Allah guide all the Muslims to the haqq. May Allah unite our hearts on the haqq. Ameen. And may Allah reward all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, immensely for your patience and attendance. Barakallahu feekum. Jazakum Allahu khayra. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair for the lesson. Inshallah, we've received some questions. Please let me know when you've received the first one.
Before that, I want to answer your question.
Yes.
Okay. Your question that this brother is talking about the Imam who only answers according to the madhab he knows. It's Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, etc. And that's fine. What's the problem? So if the people come to him, and that's why the students of knowledge should be familiar with these schools and the madhabs. You cannot dump the madhab and say, follow Dalil. Hello, wake up. What Dalil? How do you understand the Dalil? Are you saying that the four Imams were not following the Dalil? And you are the one who follows the Dalil? Subhanallah. Okay? And this is the problem with many. Well, we follow Dalil. Okay, do you follow? How do you understand the Dalil? Okay, tell me. This is a hadith in Bukhari. How do you understand it? You have to open the book and see how the ulama explained it. What Ibn Hajar said in Fath al-Bari, etc. Only if you say, I follow the Dalil and this is the strongest opinion. Who told you this is the strongest opinion? You? You're not qualified. You're not qualified. You didn't reach the level of ijtihad to say this is the strongest opinion. So you are actually emulating, mimicking another alim, another scholar. You're making taqleed of another scholar. Who says that? And this is the strongest opinion. So they are saying this is what Bin Baz said, okay? Or the Bin Uthaymeen, or Albani, etc. So you're making taqleed. I'm telling you, Abu Hanifa said this. Malik said this. Shafi'i said this. Why? Huh? If we want to just imitate, and I will follow the ulama of the past. That's why I mentioned to you many times, my dear brothers and sisters. In the beginning, as students of knowledge, if you want to be strong, well established, study one of the four madhabs in your country. And that was the way of the Salaf. When they were young, studied the madhab, known to them by the ulama in their country. And then they develop until you reach the level of ijtihad. That's the normal way. No problem with that. That's the correct way. Subhanallah, if you read even the scholars of hadith in the beginning, when they were young, what they studied. Many of the muhaddithin, for example, are Shafi'i. Muhaddith, they're Shafi'i. حافظ ابن حجر عسقلاني شافعي. نووي شافعي. No, that's the way. Sheikh bin Baz, Hanbali. Ibn Uthaymeen, Hanbali. Sheikh Albani, Hanafi. That's what they studied. That's what they learned. So to say taqleed is not permissible, no. That's not correct. So you go through stages until now you reach the stage with a very advanced level where you will be able to look and see the different schools and why they differed in this issue, etc. So now this Imam is following a particular school, and he is specialized in the madhab, in the fiqh of this school. So he answered the people according to this school. What's the problem with that? Okay? You don't want to go and ask him, okay, because you are a fanatic and you are making taqleed for somebody else. Fine. But you have no right to attack this sheikh or this imam. Is this clear, Akhi?
Yes, loud and clear. Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Proceed with the questions.
Naam. The first question. The ahadith divided into two main categories named Hadith al-Qudsi and Hadith Nabawi. Which category is Ahad Hadith and Mutawatir Hadith falls under?
Yeah. What is, first of all, Hadith Qudsi and Hadith Nabawi? Hadith Qudsi, the meaning of the Hadith is received from Allah. The wordings are the words of the Prophet ﷺ. And also Hadith Qudsi, the Prophet ﷺ will say, Allah said. Allah said. So that's Hadith Qudsi. Hadith Nabawi, the Prophet ﷺ, he said this hadith, so the meaning and the words are the Prophet ﷺ. That's called Hadith Nabawi. Now, regarding Ahad, the Hadith Ahad, they are applied to mostly to the Nabawi Hadith and the Mutawatir, the same thing. But what is Ahad Hadith? Ahad Hadith is the Hadith that the narrators in each level was Sahaba, Tabi'in, Tabi'in. So the narrators who reported this hadith are less than the narrators who reported Mutawatir hadith. The narrators who reported Mutawatir hadith, the ulama differed. Some they say between within the range of 10, some they said more than that. So, for example, we have this hadith reported by 9, 7, 8 Sahabi companions. Then the same number by the Tabi'in. Then the same number by Tabi'in until it reached us. So that is mutawatir. And the hadith that are mutawatir are very, very few. Most of the hadith are ahad. Because some hadith they are reported by one Sahabi only, who heard it from the Prophet. And this is called gharib hadith. An example for this, the hadith that everyone of you knows by heart. إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. Who reported this hadith from the Sahaba? Umar ibn Khattab. So the ahad hadith, the narrators are less than the narrators of the mutawatir hadith in every tabaqah, every layer, every level of the hadith. Sahaba, Tabi'in, etc. I hope this is clear to the question. Next hadith question.
Yes, Barakallah Feek. The next question. Under what circumstances are we allowed to apply ruqya? What about a hadith that mentions the 7,000?
First of all, the ruling of the ruqya, it is permissible, allowed. Okay. What the hadith about the 70,000 mentioned, that if you want to be from the 70,000, don't ask anyone for ruqya, but you can read the ruqya yourself. Okay. That's what the hadith is talking about. Don't ask someone to read in you, but you can read in yourself. So the 70,000, they don't ask someone to read in them because they reach, their iman is so high. But if you ask someone for ruqya, does that mean you are doing something haram? No, it is allowed. Not only that, the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw the children of Ja'far bin Abi Talib, they were very sick. He said, what's the problem? They said, this is the effect of the evil eye. He said, why don't you seek ruqya? Read on them. He used to read on Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein. And when the Prophet ﷺ became sick because of the spell, the Jew, Labid ibn al-A'sam, cast on him, Jibreel came with another angel and made ruqya and read on the Prophet ﷺ. Allah sent his two angels. I hope this is clear to the question. So the hadith of 70,000, you don't ask. For example, if I am sick and some brother visited me and he put his hand and started reading on me, should I stop him? No. This is a gift from Allah. I didn't ask for it. So when you visit someone who's sick and you want to read on him, don't ask him, do you want me to read on you? No. Just read without asking him. Next question, please.
Jazakallah khair. The next question is, does a female's daily discharge break the wudu?
The answer is yes. It breaks the wudu. And unless it is incessant, continuous. Okay. In that case, you take wudu. If it is flowing during the salah or tawaf, no problem. But normally women, they have this. So when you time for salah, you renew your wudu because if you know it is coming out. Next.
Barakallah feek. The next question is it permissible for a Muslim who decides to help his Christian neighbor to construct a house for his pigs that goes around the whole village, including the Muslim's home?
No, don't do that. Neither for the Muslim nor for the non-Muslim. Don't make that your source of income. So don't tell them regarding that. Because these animals, the swine or the pigs, are prohibited for them in the scriptures, are prohibited. That's why when Isa alayhi salam was the end of time will descend, as in authentic Bukhari Muslim, the Prophet said, لو شكلنا أن ينزل فيكم ابن مريم حكما عدلا يكسر الصليب ويقتل الخنزير ويضع الجزية. Okay, so he's saying it is about time that the Son of Mary will descend. And he will kill the swine, break the crucifix, and cancel the jizya. He will kill the swine, Isa, when he descends towards end of time. Next.
Barakallah feek. The next question is, if your sisters block all forms of communication and live in different countries, how to speak to them? The mother lives with one of them. Should the mother be visited? Any advice to help get the best reward and pleasure of Allah in this situation?
So she is cutting the ties with them. Okay. She blocked all form of communication, so no one can reach her. And she's in another country.
No, I think it's the other way around. So the questioner's sisters have blocked all
Okay.
forms of communication.
Okay. So you try your best to reach them by any means. And if there is no way to reach them, just keep making dua for them. Okay. Or if you can, I mean, travel to them and you have mahram, and so that is maybe when they see you, the heart will soften. Okay. But if you are unable, subhanallah, فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم. Fear Allah to the best of your ability and just keep making dua, asking Allah to guide them. Ask Allah to guide them. May Allah soften their hearts and may Allah bring you together. Ameen. Next question.
Ameen, Barakallah feek. The next question is, which surah to read in Ruqya?
All the Quran is Shifa. All the Quran is Shifa. But the Quls, قل هو الله أحد قل أعوذ برب الفلق قل أعوذ برب الناس, the Prophet ﷺ used to read on Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein. Next.
Barakallah feek. The next question is, in Salatul Layl night, which hours, or in the Salatul night hours, which is the part to perform ibadah and dua? I think he's asking maybe the best portion of the night.
Yeah, the last third of the night. So the night, you divide it by 3. So the last third, that is the best. Next.
Barakallah fiqh. This was the final question. I don't think no one wants to ask the question live, so we can end it there. And Jazakallah khair for the lesson, Sheikh. It was very insightful as always. And may Allah accept everyone's attendance. I'll hand it back to the Sheikh to conclude the lesson. Barakallah fikum wa jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless all of you. May Allah protect all of you. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect your family. May Allah Azza wa Jal elevate your status in this world and in Jannatul Na'im. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us remain steadfast on this beautiful Islam until we meet him and find him pleased with all of us. Ameen. Until we meet inshallah in the coming session, I leave you in Allah's company and protection. بحفظ الله ورعايته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.